This is the 4.02-inch barreled Glock 45 chambered in 9mm. Simply, that is a Glock 19 slide with a Glock 17 grip. Being a Generation 5 Glock though, it does come with some nice features. Let's see if that's something you need to get your hands on. Diving in, starting with the tip. At the front of the 45 barrel, it does protrude just ever so slightly. Being Generation 5, you do have some of these chamfered corners here on the front of the slide as well. Up top, they give you a single white dot as a front sight. Flanking either side of that are your slide serrations. This allows you to press check from either the front or the back, which is just a nice feature overall. On the left side of the Glock, milled into it is the logo, model, location, and bullet diameter and length, 9x19. Fun fact, Glock does name its firearms after its patents, not the caliber, which is why the 45 isn't a 45 caliber and the 22 isn't chambered in 22. This being something that is a little confusing to people in the gun world, once you know it, it makes sense. Back up top is the optics cut and does actually retain that rear sight, allowing you to co-witness, which is great. Albeit these being a little bit on the short side, the rear sight itself does have a U-shaped white line, making for quick and easy target acquisition. On either side of the 45's rear, again, are more slide serrations, and because it's a Generation 5, it does have ambi slide releases, which is something that's always appreciated. For reference, I will switch out the 45 I'm holding so that way you can see what it looks like with an optic on it. This is a Swamp Fox optic and does not come with the pistol. I'm just using it as an example. Down to the polymer lower portion of the firearm, you can see that we do have a Picatinny rail with a single crossbar slot. That'll allow you to pretty much put any laser or light that you wish on the Glock 45. Just behind that is your squarish trigger guard that has a slight horizontal texturing on the front and an ovalish shape internally where the trigger is. Speaking of that trigger, this Gen 5 trigger does have a decent amount of take-up on it, especially if you include that trigger safety. Once you get to that clearly defined wall though, it is pretty obvious where it is. Boom. The brake is just a little bit on the spongy side, with the reset being nice and crisp. Again, the brake is just a little bit on the spongy side. Overall, it's a Glock trigger. Behind the trigger is your mag release, and it does have a squarish shape with a vertical texturing on it, making this pretty easy to find. I am right-handed, so I gotta turn it away from you, even without having to move your hand all that much. Down just a little bit farther is your grip. All four sides of the grip have this squared molded texture on it and can accommodate back straps on the back to make it a bit easier to hold if you have a little bigger hand. The magwell does have a slight flare to it, which does have a smooth polymer on the inside, making reloads fast and easy to do. Not to mention on the very back, you do have a little bit of a gap here in case your mag gets stuck, makes it easy to grip and pry out the mag in case of a malfunction. In conclusion, Glock has created an in-between size Glock that doesn't sacrifice mag capacity. Couple that with the Gen 5 upgrades and optics mount, this becomes quickly a hard-to-beat pistol. Not to mention, Glock is known for reliability and longevity. If you have any experiences with the Glock 45, please leave a review below. We would love to see your comments. That is all I have for you today. God bless. It is time to end.